when we're talking government like regulations, it's just hard to have that.
We're not talking that today.
No, I'm just saying. I think topic also just matters.
I think your personality is the biggest piece that's missing from you in the podcast. I think when you get happy and excited, I think there's so many people in the world that would associate with your personality in that direction.
Because I got a lot of feedback of people from that AI episode, and they said the same thing. Like,
No. This is not a pick-on show. This is not a pick-on topic. This is just. I wasn't picking on. Yeah, right? I just didn't want to turn into that.
The feedback that I got was, because
hey, earphone up, please, so you can also get checked in.
I explained this.
She might be pregnant, so this could end at any time, as you know. So.
Okay.
I'm doing just fine over here.
Yeah.
Here we go. All right. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Mm-hmm. What it do? Boo boo.
Alan, be a little bit mad at me.
Oh, I'm so angry.
Not bad, Ron Burgundy. We actually get fucking mad.
I'm really angry at you.
Stop being Ron Burgundy and just be like, fuck off.
Honey, could you turn the lights down when we're all finished?
Empuggas.
Hi,
my name's Alan, and go fuck yourself.
There you go.
There you go. How does that sound?
Elevate to like medium high tone.
Hello.
No.
Fuck you.
No, Alan. Like you want to take over the conversation, you're mad at a client.
You are a stupid motherfucker.
Thank you. That sounded good. So when we were on the episode with Megan Hammer, okay, enunciation of your words, the syllables of your words, try not to blend your syllables together. Megan Hammer gave us a first-class textbook education and why I suck at talking into the microphone. I slur my words together. I've done it my whole life. I've always mumbled. So my emphasis today when I talk is going to be on enunciating my syllables and not letting my words blend into one another.
Nice.
I think all of us can take away a lot from that, not only from the podcast.
Priceline enunciator.
Yeah. You're
that's not a bad takeaway. Keep in mind just to do this like in the day-to-day when it's like not forced upon you, because like it's kind of like doing golf, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to do your be consciously thinking of your swing while you're playing golf.
Oh,
you
no.
should have already done that on the range. And in this case, as it was an analogy used by my coaches, you should be practicing this all the time, not just so like when you're talking in meetings, that's the right strategy. That's where you go test it.
Yeah. And I feel like I talk with a lot more purpose and I talk less, and it's just to the point and it elevates my status.
So in practice,
talking less is always a smart person move in the room.
Yep.
So you're able to make sure your phone's off. Oh, I gotta make sure my phone's off.
All right. Ooh, Alan.
Ding 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 dong.
Yeah, mine just goes in airplane mode.
Oh, look at us go. We have a count up clock. This is the clock of doomsday.
All right.
And so here was some feedback that I got. I had a lot of people actually like call me, text me, talk to me about feedback for the episodes and everything else. And I said, hey, it would be best if you could leave comments on Spotify because you can actually engage and they can. There's stuff I'll review with you guys, but there's things that they can actually do for us to leave commentary in the episodes that only we can see. And one of the pieces of feedback was like, and I just wanted to touch on the government stuff. It is one thing to make like an accusation or a claim. It's another thing to say, my opinion, at least with what I know right now, would be like a good place to start, or where my thoughts would be on the matter. A lot of people said that they felt like that was a way we could get around maybe some sensitive topics while still sounding like experts, right? So
it's my current understanding that, or my opinion is...
So you give a little bit of a prefix, which is like a get out of jail free card. You know what I mean?
Or I'm not an expert in this space.
Or this is not legal advice, but basically that same thing.
I'm not an expert in this space. Somebody else is. But I know enough about the general direction where this industry is going to talk some about it without giving super specifics.
Yeah. All right, Curtis, lead us off.
All right.
And Alex, perfect. We'll start on Curtis. So I don't know where we're at so far in the recording.
Are we live?
We've been live the whole time.
Let's go. I'm not trying to abuse that, but that's basically like the what's up. What's up? But that's this new decade. You guys, the WAC Attack Podcast. glad to have everybody back. Everybody's healthy again. We don't have any little toddlers getting us sick, whatnot. And so we're all back at the table. Today's topic, I wanted to talk about
Toddler talk.
No, that is exactly what I didn't want to do. Cue the outtakes. I wanted us to talk about finding your why. I think this is a really important message, not only for women, but especially for men, especially younger men. Figuring out your why. What drives you in your life? What makes you do the things you do and have the interests you have?
Okay, I have to interrupt you, but we're going to start this entire episode over because when you say finding your why, I feel like this is really good for women. It's like, hello, I'm a white male telling women what to do again. It's like, uh-oh, this is a great way to, negatively promote viewership. So what we want to do is
appreciate your opinion on our entire gender. Have a great day.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. Got it. I'll just say for men, like, I feel like men need this.
Or you just don't have to specify for humans.
In my head. Yeah, there you go.
Like for human beings, for people.
Hey, listen, I'm just going to say there's two fucking genders, so if you don't like that one, we're going to have to really restart this now.
Yeah, we are going to have to restart this now.
All right. Welcome to the WAC Attack Podcast. I'm Curtis.
I'm Alan over here today. What's going on, Wally?
Yeah, I'm Wally.
And you're Wally. This is
Yeah.
the WAC Attack Podcast, and we're all back at it, full force, full tilt, full time.
Yeah,
none of us are
I
sick.
thought you were going through the explanation of the episode.
Yeah, I'm about to get into it. Thank you very much. Today we're going to talk about finding your why. Finding your why is a really important topic. It's something we've talked about here at Three Ventures and also us in our personal lives. Very applicable, I think, just as male. I think it's very applicable to my life and helping establish it on a couple of different pillars because as I continue to mature and my life continues to build, it's really important for me to know why I do the things that I do. And I also feel like you guys would say the same thing. It's really important for you to know why you do the things that you do or what adds value to your life and what does not.
Absolutely. And as somebody who can speak on behalf of an organization and one that likes, or at least used to like Enron's marketing, always ask why.
Yeah. 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 So what is your why? Like, why do you do what you do? So
it's a multifaceted question.
It is. So I'm going to lead off here with an example of something I've done. I didn't get this question answered until about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And, I'm 32 now for clarity. But basically, I came up with an acronym. And my acronym was like a pyramid. And it represented the stability and the foundations for what I needed in my life and what I should do in order of priorities. And it's an acronym. It stands for FHBC. And that to me is the principles of my life. F is my family. H is my health. B is my business. And C is competition. And I've aligned those things because that's what delivers the most value for the way my life is set up and structured. So, for example, my family.
Where's the A? That's what I want to know for Alan.
Well, that's family. It's the second letter.
Should have just been AHBC.
Hey, you know what? The A is silent. Okay, Alan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is on the helmet.
Yeah, this is on the racing helmet.
Isn't it on? Is it on your?
It is not on the suits.
Not on the suits. Okay, but it is on the helmets.
Quick sidebar for everybody out there. Alan and I have basically formula grade helmets to race cars and karts with, and on the back of our helmets we have FHBC as the pillars of our life, as a reminder that we get to do that when all of the other parts of our life are in alignment. Yeah. And it's just a nice way for us to remember how we got to do that in the first place. So
how'd you come up with that, and how'd you use that to find your why?
Man, I think it's really important to write, like physically write in a journal, not digitally. I feel like for me personally, there's a lot of benefit to writing stuff out. I feel like I get my thoughts out. I feel like I remember things a lot more. Turns out there's actually some science behind that too, but that's not.
There definitely is.
That's not going to be a talking point in this episode. So I just started jotting some stuff down, and I was trying to organize my thoughts because my brain, I have a lot of thoughts moving in a lot of areas in a pretty organized fashion. But one of the things that I've always struggled with as a human is articulating those things to somebody around me. Like if I can't get what's in my brain into my words and deliver that as a packaged message where somebody can get in alignment with what I'm doing, I can never be successful. So I was like, hey, I got to put this in alignment to correct some things because I was struggling. I'd struggled in past relationships, and I was struggling a little bit in my relationship to get that to properly deliver those messages. So I came up with this acronym to really represent why I do the things that I do. And so the family piece is the most important because your family is the foundation for everything. If something were to go wrong in my life and I was no longer able to produce for my family would be who would be taking care of me. Aside from that, I would also have to do it on the contrary, right? If something happens to
Correct.
Sammy or my kids or somebody in my family, I also have to do that. So you have to have a support system. I think you can't do anything great without a support system. That's the first thing I realized. So that's family. Health. So a wise man once told me, his name was Cliff, he's all of our mentors, your mind doesn't die on you, your body does. And that really resonated with me.
Yeah, that was really true with our grandmother passing away this past weekend. Super sharp in the head, just, body couldn't keep up.
Body gave out. She lived a great life. She was in her 90s. Keeping up with your health is such an important thing because it is really what enables you to continue having a great life.
Yeah.
My definition of health is going to be a little different than everybody else's, but mine is really all about removing as much toxic things out of your life as possible. That could be a variety of different contexts. It's eating nutrient-dense food and knowing what to eat and when to eat. It's also taking care of my body from a physical perspective, like from a training,
working out, that type of stuff.
Yep. And then also mentally, right? My health aligns with all those things. And so when you put all of that into practice, I've noticed that there's a lot more consistency in my life. I can do things with high levels of energy. I don't really get tired unless it's time to go to bed. Then my body is like, hey, it's time to shut down. And I could just do things with a lot more clarity. And I'm able to function at the capabilities that my body, or that my genetics and my epigenetics have allowed me to do. So it goes family first and then health second. And I struggled with putting those two things together because I didn't know which order they were supposed to go in. But I kind of said, hey, I can't always physically take care of myself, but I could take care of myself in a couple of other ways. Like I can't always get to the gym because I might need to do something for my family, but I could do all these other things. And those other things correlate to my family. So that's why I said, hey, family's first, and then this piece second. Business, with obviously you guys being a part of the co-founders here at 3 Ventures, that's my livelihood. That's how I provide for my family. That's what we're all invested in. That's how we're making all of our lives better, our wives' lives better, our kids' lives better. All of us are all connected in some way. We had that episode that we talked about, running a business with your family, a family member or a close friend. And then the competition piece. I've just always thrived on competition. It's been a part of my upbringing.
Yeah, a little bit of a personal achievement, a little bit of motivator, a little bit of energy, that type of stuff.
100%. When I put the family and the health and the business in that order and those priorities in alignment, and I've done everything there.
You have an ability to go compete and do things, whether your hobbies or they're,
exactly
running a marathon or, different types of, mental or physical achievements or a combination of both.
And I'm always competing with myself. And that's pretty much it. How can I be better at the things that I want to do that are not FHBC, family, health, and business? And it's healthy for me because I am constantly sharpening myself to be a better individual and whatever my interests and I'm aligned with. And so that is, how I discussed and found out my why. When I told you that, I really felt like you're like, wow, Curtis, you probably just solved the same thing for me. And you adopted it pretty quickly.
I definitely adopted it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there was maybe a little bit less maturity on my part, at that time in my life. And I have this sort of tendency to overdo things, not in a sense of like overthinking, but when I really like something, I get very involved in it.
In the competition sphere.
Right.
Yeah.
Or in anything, right? It could be in any one of those pillars.
Yeah.
And
but
it could be at the expense of other pillars, right? And so, one of the things that you had talked about was the FHBC. It really put some things into perspective for me. And, those were definitely some of the things that I struggled with. And, for example, Katie, my wife, she's wonderful. But we literally talked about, both of our negative traits that each one of us have, and mine is overdoing things that I'm really interested in, and hers is being a little passive and kind of just letting things slide. And so we both got this double negative thing. So like if it's something that I'm like really into and she's, you know, a little passive letting me do my thing, like I can inadvertently steer this thing really far down, you know, not happy highway. And so, you know, I really got to reel it in and bring it back. And, you know, these are some of the things that we've been talking about. But when you get to my why and the things that, you know, really make sense to me, I haven't necessarily come up with an acronym. You know, what I was able to come up with was my why is sort of, I think about like, what is my rich life? What does that look like to me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and rich could be a couple different areas, right? It could be time, it could be wealth, it could be social, it could be relationships, you know. So did you give any thought to those?
Yeah, I did. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you is when I told you this FHBC acronym, you thought about what you just talked about. And was there any other angles that you came from that you were saying, hey, does this FHBC thing work for me? Or did you sort of align yourself with, when you got answers to all of those questions you just mentioned, that it actually seemed to fit what I was talking about?
The FHBC, I mean, my why sort of fits into all those categories and those pieces. I think a lot of people could, you know, relate to those pretty broadly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My why is really predicated around, like, what does my rich life with Katie look like? And so, you know, I want to have the time to do things with her, you know, camping, exploring, eating,
Yeah.
right, doing projects around the house. You know, there's certain other things that are very important to us. Like, for example, you know, we don't want to put our kids into, you know, daycare when they're younger. We want to be around them a lot more often or have them be at our house. So you're having somebody who comes and, you know, works with the kids at the house and helps watch them, sort of an extension of the parenting, you know, like Katie's mom is retired. Those types of things are, you know, really, really important to us.
Yeah.
And then also if you look at, you know, retirement is sort of, at least in my definition, is when you have the ability to do whatever you want to do where you are not financially constrained, right? And so
that's a great description.
One of the mine and Katie, our rich life, or our why, is to, you know, when we're 50 years old ish, right, to be able to do whatever job we want to do and really, you know, have a certain level of autonomy because we're financially independent. We're not necessarily required to have that big income and, you know, really limit the lifestyle creep. And so when I look at my why is minimizing stress and maximizing time and happiness with my wife. Also, a part of my why and my rich life is working with you guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, how blessed and like how just fortunate am I get to work with my twin brother, get to work with a guy we grew up with our whole life. And
my first friend.
I was never alone.
Yeah.
You know, like there's so many people that they get out of college, they come to age, they're trying to find their identity or whatever, and they feel alone. We're so fortunate to have that. And so when you talk about my why is quality time with my wife. My why is quality time with my kids. My why is getting to work with you guys. And in 20 years, I have the ability to be financially independent. And if it doesn't fit within those things,
why do it?
Why do it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is such a great point. And it's, if it doesn't fit into what you want, why the fuck are you doing it?
Right. Like, why are you not enunciating the
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I did a good emphasis on that one. Fuck. Okay.
Time is one of those variables that
Watch
you
his
don't
little-
get.
Yeah.
You don't get back.
His
And
little
no
girl's
matter
gonna-
how much money you have, at least to current day, you can't really buy more time.
No, you can't. You can't buy any
And
time.
again, you can limit the risk factors of just walking outside of the house, but there's still that percentage chance that you're going to get run over by a bus.
or shot. Yeah, we get
Yeah.
it.
And there's
Wally, hold on.
there's a really interesting point in here, which is I don't necessarily think you have to also have your why figured out, but I think you should be on the path of trying to figure it out or being consciously aware of thinking about like, that's a really good point.
What makes you happy?
Like, what are these things? And they don't just magically appear out of thin air.
They don't.
Yeah.
It takes time.
You gotta throw them on your vision board.
You do.
Exactly. It takes time to develop it.
Hey, you gotta realize those ideas.
That's really great. So, Alan, you and I have talked a little bit, and you brought up a really interesting point, which was you don't necessarily have to have this defined. Like I said, hey, I got it just after I turned 30, right? We've been running a business. We've been working together for almost 15 years now. You don't have to know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild.
You don't have to know immediately, but you should be working on your way towards it. And when you identify something that you know does not fit within what you want in your life, get rid of that thing and don't turn back.
Dogs barking. Done.
Yeah, dogs.
Or hey,
It's a no-go.
My rich life.
Yeah. So
Shot
Wally,
collar.
Being able to have time to focus, being able to have time to get quote-unquote shit done.
Yeah. Yeah. So
without distraction. It's kind of a nice thing.
Talk to me a little bit about this subject. So I led off, Alan kind of talked a little bit about it. You've done a lot of personal development. There's so many great things that you've talked to Alan and I about. But talk to us about some of the, your rich life or your FHBC or what brings joy for what you like.
Wally's why? What's Wally and Alex's why?
So it definitely comes down to spending time with family, doing things that matter in your life that obviously I feel enriched by. Things that are kind of the pariah or the cancers need to get axed. It's the reason why I have very few friends. Why I literally, my circle is at this table. Outside
the cancers, you're a bunch of cancers. Can't do them. No way.
Producer Scott's sick today, and Alex's wife is not. I'm sorry, Wally's wife is not at this table. So there are two tables,
and there are some key relationships that I've gotten around with previous volunteering work. But beyond that, I have a very, I'm not spending time on people or things that don't, enhance my life or bring joy to my family.
Yeah, and Alex,
and again, like cutting out social media, I'm not like all those little things have produced a better life for myself.
Yeah, I think there's a little piece of like hypochondria for you, like being a hypochondriac or seeing things and you're like, oh man, could this happen? But that's
you could call me a hypochondriac too with my overcommitment to things I'm super interested in.
No.
Right?
That's different. He's worrying, but because Wally's always had a security hat on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That risk profile of where we're going, how we're doing things. It doesn't matter if it's on the internet or going to San Francisco.
That's the way his brain works. His brain is wired. He's been in that.
I look at the adversarial way of doing things. Like,
well, yeah, you were going to be a police officer back in the day.
Exactly.
Yeah,
a lot of time with the police
really
department.
wanted to go into Secret Service, financial crimes, and really get into solving puzzles. Right.
Yeah. And now you
unlocking the riddle.
And now you build puzzles.
Yeah, I build them.
I have a question for you. Your why?
Yes.
Is there an important aspect of that where you have free time for unstructured creativity?
Yeah, it's labs time.
Yeah,
an hour a day, labs time, reading a book, watching something that's not YouTube, more like the sounds so stupid, but going on like research.google and looking at what people are doing that are kind of breaking the mold of societal means, utilizing technology. Again, that's my passion. But yeah, that's that unstructured time, 1 hour every day, and it's incredibly important for myself just to have that randomness.
You allow your mind to wander because you like to explore.
Especially in the tech space, if you're not taking that time, you're behind.
So Wally, I think that's a really good thing that you've done in your life because you recognize that brings a lot of value for what you like. Talk to us about how you were able to recognize the bounds, because I feel like if you are in a situation like that where you like to let your mind explore, if you're always exploring,
you have to have guardrails though.
Exactly.
Like for example, guardrails, no WebMD, no key news sites. There are certain things that are just not in the way I operate.
There's such a great short in there where Curtis goes, a little bit of a hypochondriac, and you go, yeah, no WebMD.
No, but when your mind wanders, like you're getting into like, again, a lot of the research stuff I'm looking at is around health and medicine and how technology can come into play, and how that benefits society. And sometimes you can get into these rabbit holes where you're like, well, what were my test scores and how does that apply to X, Y, and Z?
Nice. So some other parts of your life. So you've talked about your interests, right? Like how do you keep yourself happy? Talk to us about some of the other parts of your life that have helped you find your why, whether it's the wife, the dogs, not that you enjoy the dogs barking 9, or anything else, but give us just a little bit of insight for how you've approached that.
Keep an open mind. Is really the only way, and
that's on your path and road to figuring it out.
Yeah, dude, and have a complete ability to revisit and understand what went right, what went wrong in a situation, and just have that agile mindset or like methodology.
I don't think Alan and I would be the humans we are today if you didn't have a relationship with us, because the household that we were raised in, we did not know that. We're not taught that. We were very like, this is the direction I'm going in, just kick ass and get to where you want to be. But instead of, you're like, hey, pump the brakes, don't be a trigger puller. And you allow
but we make a great combo because you guys are quick to squeeze in your heads, but you always run it by me. But then I move a lot quicker on a decision because we've already gotten these like extra, but I always bring in good. Yeah. But I'd be a snail without you guys.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd be in analysis paralysis.
Yeah, like I said, one of my whys is I want to be working with you guys. If I'm not doing that thing, it's not something I want to do. And a really great point here is if you are listening and you're hearing Wally and you're saying, well, these are kind of things that are like traits. I haven't really heard of like what exactly is the why. I want to say this: I haven't found out my why until it was like, I don't know, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. And I was like really able to nail that down. Yours,
I'd say having a kid it's a maturity jump. I don't see days of the week anymore. I don't see Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. I see there's 7 days in a week, which means there's a day. A day is the unit. What the fuck am I doing every day?
Right. And I hear you with that. And so, but my thought is if you're out there and you're listening, and you also you can't specifically talk about your why, start to identify the things you like, because you've already aligned with the things that you like, and that is like knowing all of the ingredients to that successful recipe. Yeah. And for me, like, it's great to figure this out in your early 30s, because now you start checking into the next 30 years of my life before 60. This is where you really start to have that long-term vision, but you're able to, like you said, to be flexible on those short-term details. Yeah. And if you're just mindlessly working or you're just mindlessly doing the next thing, like how are you achieving anything that intrinsically makes you feel grateful and good?
That's non-monetary value for your life. Well, 100%.
And like, people ask me all the time, they're like, how do you do what you do? I'm like, easy. You don't have a Curtis and Wally.
No, it's so true. Like, listen, our wives would probably hate us forever for saying this. Sorry, Alex. Whatever we decide we want to make money doing, all 3 of us are doing it. There's no getting rid of each other. The only way out is in a box or in an errand.
Oh, and remember, we like to pull the triggers quick. Pew pew.
Well said. This is the WAC gang over everything.
Yeah. But we've also intercoupled our lives from a very early time.
Yes.
And we've made financial decisions as a unit, and it's been something that for myself I've learned a lot. I've obviously shared a lot, and I've taken in a bunch.
Yeah,
right?
Same here, ditto.
Everyone has that, and again, I feel like you move faster as a team. You move, you
can move faster as an individual, but you go further as a team.
Correct. And it's, thank you. I was trying to put something in my head, but
So Wally, you're obviously a labs enthusiast. For people who don't know what a lab is, think of it basically like a playground, but it's for technology. And so that's one of the places where you get to put a lot of your efforts, and there's things that deliver value for your life. You've also recognized that, hey, maybe it might be a little bit too tech heavy. You have also gotten into some greenhouse and some plants and a couple other things that you're playing around with that offer value, right?
Correct, but it's also utilizing IoT and sensor data and testing out snowplow.
But you found a way to pair the physical world.
And doing tagging via cameras with Jira and doing like plant management from some of our customers.
Yeah.
That are in the farming business and how they're utilizing OCR and different types of the different AI models now. A level of training data for capturing what's wrong with your plant has gone through the roof. And for me, I was just looking at something that was not customer related that I could utilize in blog posts or things that were very OPSEC friendly, to say the least.
Okay, I can't do it. I have to butt in because baby dill sprouted out on the windowsill, right? On the windowsill, there's these baby little dill plants now, and this man over here looks like a kid on Christmas, and there's no technology involved. There's just this tiny little dill plant poking out of the ground.
Okay,
so Alex, you're
hold on. I got something to say. I told you the other day that you need to get on Instagram and look up the Instagram handle creative_explained. Wally, I shit you not, I found your new best friend.
Okay.
Creative_explained. He has the best shorts. He always does the same thing, but his content is so kick-ass with learning a variety of things. How to make household cleaners that lift water stains. How to get a seed out of a lemon to plant a lemon seed. How to grow a pineapple.
I think I've seen him on YouTube Shorts. He puts,
And he always ends with like the rock on sign.
I subscribe to him on YouTube.
Yeah. Epic. His stuff is epic. I picked up so much
stuff.
Put
it in a bag. Make sure you have some ginger or some cinnamon in there so it doesn't grow mold. Yeah.
His stuff's great.
Awesome.
Alex, I wanted to ask this question to you.
Sure,
because finding your why is equally as important as an individual as it is a couple. And you can have an individual why, but you have to align that with your why as a couple. Do you have anything in here to add to as well?
Sure. I mean, I think the whys are so transformative. You guys change your whys all the time. And they have the same core components, right? You guys have that same family goal or whatever else, but you guys didn't have wives at one point. You had girlfriends and right. Your whys haven't always been that. So I think for us individually, it's building up to what this ideal version looks like. And that ideal version changes all the time based on what you're looking for, right?
True.
That ideal
traded golf balls for racing tires for golf balls.
Exactly. Our serial hobbyist over here.
One rubber for another.
Right. So I just think it's really important to focus on what matters to you in the moment, and then also make sure that checks in with what you think is going to matter to you in the future, and be okay changing it. I think we get really stuck sometimes in our why, and that agile part is important to be able to switch over.
And just to throw this out there, I jumped into gardening as a quick and easy way for me to still do what I love with technology, be able to capture different data sets for things that are living, but also take 30 minutes when I wake up, my first 30 minutes, instead of going directly to a computer. I mean, I don't even close on them. First thing is log into guard duty, hit all my OPSEC, hit my triggers for the day, understand what's going on. That was just really detrimental to my eyesight and overall well-being.
Yeah, because you're sleeping in a security post.
I'm now waking up and spending the first 30 minutes outside with a hose, just watering some stuff, just getting some fresh light in my eyes.
It's so great.
Awesome.
Important for me not to end the day on a computer and start the day on a computer.
And that is so great. And when we're talking about our whys, right, you have this really good understanding of like what are the things that interest you the most, and when you're doing them, they just give you this burst of energy, right? For me, I'd say mine is sort of the common denominator is love. I love hanging out with you guys. I love my wife and getting to spend time with her, our newborn daughter, that type of stuff. And then I also love adrenaline, right? So that's equally as important. But when I think about the whys too, I know Alex, your wife, producer Alex tonight, I know one of the things that's really important to her is that she wants to retire her father, right? And when I think about maybe people who are listening to this, everybody's going to be motivated by something different, whether it's having a big family or retiring a parent or being able to have a lot of freedom. Your why is what makes you rich, and your rich can be money, it can be time, it can be relationships, it can be environment.
Extremely important point.
Right.
Yep, well said.
And so I think that's incredibly important. And then you start to tailor your life around your why. And, like I said, we were just so lucky to have each other when we were doing this, because people ask me all the time, they're like, what do you guys do? And we're a consulting firm, and we help businesses make more money and increase their productivity across their teams in many different departments.
And now we're a media company.
Right, and now we're a media company.
Getting into all these different vertices.
But the business has always been us and what we wanted to do, and we just pivoted and twisted and went down that direction. And now when people ask me, what is Three Ventures? I'm like, Three Ventures is a combination of everything Wally, Allen, and Curtis wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. And so when you think about your why is just that combination of everything you want to do and how you live your life, which I think is a great topic for us to bring up and talk here. And when folks ask me, they say, why are you guys doing a podcast? I say, because it's like a boys' night. It's really fun. It's something for us to get to do together, because when you run a business together, you don't get a lot of this enjoyable face time. 2, we have a lot of good information to share with the world. Yes. I think we have, as brothers and friends, gone through a significant amount. I think our story is incredible. And I think that we, especially with all the feedback we get from people who work with us that they love, like they can't think of a better place to work. They can't think of better people to work with. I feel like we sort of have an obligation to put this out there to not only make that story be known and have our why of Three Ventures and WAC and have that be known, but also for us to further develop that and to further make sure that all of our whys align as our lives change, wives, family, kids, and
everything.
Making sure that those are all rowing in the right direction. So
absolutely.
Shameless plug, threeventures.com/careers.
Yeah. And so the podcast is a means for us to do that. Mm-hmm. It's a means for us to get together. It's a means for us to talk about things we're incredibly interested in. It's a means for us to make some more money.
Learn how to communicate
better.
Learn
how to communicate better.
That's what I've taken out.
It's a means for us to incorporate, our wives. We've got to do this with our wives. They've been at the producer desk. Our good friend Scott, who's a tech recruiter, right, has been running social media.
Scott's primary producer, but Scott's sick, and the wives fill in when he can't.
Yeah, and he's here and he's helping us out with media production. I mean, and that's not nepotism. That's people in our circle who are really good at what they do, and we're building a bigger table, not a bigger wall. And when we get the opportunity to bring people onto the podcast and talk to them, that's another person who could have another seat at that table. Yep. And so that is why the podcast is so important to us. And so with that,
expands the reach.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts?
You're done.
I swear I'm not drinking.
Yeah. I think that to wrap this up, when I came up with FHBC, I largely went through this same exercise that you guys just talked about, where you kind of go back and you think about everything that delivers value for you or ways you could find value in your life, like you brought up, Wally, and being open-minded. And I said, based off of, the last 12 years, from the time I was 18 to the time I was 30, I just kind of listed the stuff out that I really enjoyed and the stuff that I thought that I enjoyed, but it didn't actually bring me as much joy as I thought. It was just nice in the moment, but long term, it didn't really have that effect. And that's where I came up with this structure that Alex alluded to, hey, your why is always going to change. And for me, I wanted a stabilized way for me to represent when I change a variable and I don't race anymore and now I golf, or I like playing softball, where I want to do something. How do I identify my approach for being able to do those things? And that's why I was like F, H, B, C, because my C is the piece that's always changing. And the B may change a couple of times in my life, but not a lot because it's with you guys. But the H and the F part, the health and the family, those are always stable. And so I felt like that was a really good way to represent my changing why, but the structure that represents why I'm doing what I'm doing at a certain point in time in my life.
Yeah. And then with that said,
sense.
We'll wrap this up like the Three Musketeers.
Yeah, totally.
One for all and all for one. Let's go.
And our next business is going to be a strawberry hydroponic farm.
Maybe not.
Well, okay, so
the koi fish, our neighbor, had some really cool stuff.
Yeah, we could grow some koi fish in there, aquaponics and everything else.
Yeah.
so
That's another topic for another
the
day.
Dirty Dozen is the 12 foods that are the most sprayed with pesticides and chemicals and whatnot.
Oh, are strawberries on there?
Strawberries have always been number one.
No way.
Because the way a strawberry plant is, it's pretty much on the ground, right? So naturally, you have to do more to it to get everything away from it. So I've always loved berries: strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries.
Oh, we're aware.
And
Boys and berries, every type of berries. Berry, good berries, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the berries themselves, okay, I'm like, that's something I loved. I was 13. I said, hey, I want to get a raspberry bush for my birthday. Mom was like, you want what? And she bought me a raspberry bush. But aside from that, hydroponically grown strawberries, they don't require as much of the spraying because you're in a greenhouse. They're elevated, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. It's
And
huge.
with some of the experience and the exposure that we've had to plants and then using tech to manage the plants and all the analytics, Alan,
Aquaponics.
It's all industrial control systems at the
and
end of the day.
one of our
we had a client that did vertical indoor gardening in a warehouse.
I'm extremely
and one of our other best friends that we grew up with, who we did not go into business with, his father is in a very similar line of business.
Aquaponics at a
growing
sturgeon
butter
farm.
lettuce and a sturgeon
Yeah,
farm.
as a byproduct of the caviar farm that they have there.
And when I look at where my interests are, everybody needs to eat until you die, and doing something where if I could come up with a way
huge.
to take the number one item that I just happen to love and have loved every day of my life off of the Dirty Dozen list.
I was wondering how you were going to integrate all this. That's a good
I
point.
have
He
solved.
does have a great point. There's no
I love,
need to the
I
wrap
love
up.
health. I love fitness. I'm solving a problem. Industrialized farming sucks, and I could do it with my two.
I
best
was all like,
friends.
where the hell is he going with this? But if you were thinking the same thing, now you know. Thank you very much for watching this episode of the WAC Attack Podcast. We will have another episode next week. And as always, you can message us, talk to us, email, social media channels, everything else. Give us a like, subscribe, and follow. And we really appreciate you and your ears listening to this episode. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.
See you guys.
Last minute doesn't count, but I'm butting in for the wives that you guys tend to make it easy to support you as long as you guys get your shit together. 90% of the time.
Oh, is that still live?
It was.
Oh.